Are able to report, unfortunately, that Apple is confirming that Steve Jobs has passed away after a battle with pancreatic cancer. This news just confirmed. You all may remember on August 24th of this year, Steve Jobs stepped aside due to his illness. Tim Cook was running Apple. Steve Jobs, 56 years old, again, dying of pancreatic cancer. This is a man who really stood for American exceptionalism, was the man who created the Mac, the iPod, the iPhone, the iPad, all of that. You see him there. In the past few years, he had been battling pancreatic cancer. Obviously, you can see that on his frame. This is something investors had been talking about, and obviously with his final stepping aside, which he had done once before with Tim Cook taking the helm at Apple, is something that got a lot of attention on Wall Street. But he really was a man. You see him there. The reason Apple was so exceptional and those products were so exceptional and so loved was that he would show up in that black turtleneck and make the presentation, and it became an event with groupies and people around the world waiting for every event. Of course, just yesterday we had the 4S iPhone was announced by Tim Cook, with Steve Jobs obviously not there. I'm lucky enough to have Dr. Sanjay Gupta here. We were going to be talking about Michael Jackson, but weigh in if you could here. Obviously, this was a battle where he had succumbed and then come back to work, and now obviously.
Yeah, in 2003 was, I think, when we first heard for sure that he was sick, and at that point it was unclear. Was it pancreatic cancer? Was it something else? You remember for about a year or so, Aaron, he actually did not undergo any traditional therapy. He chose to treat this with herbal remedies and things like that. But then in 2004, started getting therapy in earnest at that point, subsequently getting a liver transplant a few years later. That was made a lot of news at that point because, you know, there was so much unknown about his health at that point. He got this liver transplant with really no fanfare, hardly any press coverage. People found out about it after the fact. And like you said, he appeared to be recovering. He got really thin, you remember, and he said he dismissed, right, and he said this was a hormone imbalance. He never came right out and said this was pancreatic problem or pancreatic cancer specifically. You know, even at this announcement that you just mentioned, even then there was still a lot of speculation. Has the cancer returned? Is there something else going on? Does he just simply think he can't run the company anymore? But I think the suspicion was there for some time that the cancer had come back. Right. And pancreatic cancer, as you may know, is one of these really difficult cancers to treat.
People had thought, I mean, it was sort of an amazing story that he had been able to fight it off for so long.
That's right. And the liver transplant, for example, a somewhat unconventional, not common therapy for pancreatic cancer, doesn't work in everybody, but in his case, because he returned, they thought maybe he fell into the rare few category where he actually got a significant benefit from that. And maybe he did for a period of time, but I tell you, you know, in the medical community, we've been following this along for some time, and sort of since it was more confirmed that he had the pancreatic cancer, we just don't have great treatments for that at this point. And, you know, 5-year survival is even limited, and we're talking about his case, 8 years at least. 2003, I think, is when the diagnosis was confirmed.